Hello, good morning. It's just gone 7 a.m. on Tuesday, the 24th of January. I'm just off Youth Hostel. I'm heading up to Stratford on Avon Youth Hostel. I'm literally just going a few hundred yards to my railway station up here, barely at the end of my street. I'm getting a train up to Yate and I'm going to start my journey there. I'll explain why in a bit more in detail once the journey gets going. Here we are, I'm here already at the Oldfield Park railway station. This is the platform heading towards Bristol. As you can see, it's still quite dark. By the time I get off my train it should be light and the roads are going to be a bit safer. That's one of the reasons I'm taking the first 15 or 20 miles on the train. Also, I think it'd be safer. That's looking up towards Bath Spa. That's the platform I've spoken to you from before when I've been heading down to Dorchester, Salisbury, that sort of way to ride my Roman roads. But today I'm heading that way to Bristol Temple Meads, and then the train will go in one way and reverse out the other way, and 2 or 3 stops up the road I'll be getting off at Yate and starting my ride there. Then it's about 73 miles to Stratford on Avon. I'll be heading north to start with, hugging the M5 corridor. Just before I get south of Tewkesbury, I'll be hanging a right, eastwards, and then the second half of the ride will be through the Cotswolds up to Stratford on Avon. In fact, the youth hostel is just beyond Stratford, but more about the journey en route. I just want to warm up and get on this cosy train. You may see everything sparkly and frosty rather than thick ice that we've been having recently.
Return, please.
The forecast for this morning is quite nice actually. Once the sun rises and you can see it's just under the horizon there, it's going to be quite a nice clear day by the sound of the forecast. It's now 8:10 and I'm now at Yate. So Yate is north of Bristol. The reason I decided to take the train up here was basically it cuts out riding the Bath to Bristol cycle track, which ends just along there a couple of miles anyway. That would have been untreated and I was just a little bit wary of riding that in the dark because it could be icy and slippery in places. And as I referred to earlier on, I don't think I've quite got the fitness to get all the way to Stratford on Avon. I've done it as a 200km DIY before and done a back home the next day as a DIY 200, so back-to-back 200s. I'm certainly not at that stage yet. I'm on the Caribou. I'll just run through quickly the equipment I'm riding today. I've got the straight handlebars and the wide tyres, 26 by 1.5 inches, just feels so much safer in conditions like this. I've got my 2 front panniers on that would normally sit there. I don't have to change the hooks, I just have to slide the clip along a little bit and they work perfectly for youth hosteling. I don't need the space of the rear panniers. Those 2 front ones put on the back are ideal for youth hosteling, just to change of clothes, toiletries. The only food I bought from Bath is I've got a tub of margarine and a small bag of rice. Everything else I'm going to pick up en route. I'm using 2 Garmins. This Old Edge 200 is what I'll be navigating on, and the newer 130 Plus I think it is, that's what I'm going to record the ride on. Sometimes it gives me all the prompts, other times it doesn't. And there is a little bit of wiggling through Stratford on Avon as I approach. So from Yate station it's straight onto minor roads. You may see behind me it's a cold morning, but it's clear, it's forecast to be nice. I would say it's heavy frost rather than ice, but I'm certainly taking it quite gingerly. My ride didn't start until it got light. 73 miles then up to Stratford on Avon Youth Hostel. But I was thinking in bed last night, I've been to Stratford Youth Hostel many times, but the last time stands out in my memory for quite it was the morning after a big geopolitical event, and I'm a big sort of believer in geotagging memories, so again I'll explain more later on. Meanwhile, I'm gonna head up the M5's corridor northish, just south of Tewkesbury. I'll be hanging a right, or some people would sort of say I'll be turning east, and then the second half of today's ride will be eastwards to Stratford on Avon. I'm now up at Tortworth on some minor roads. I will be taking it quite carefully along here because I don't know if these will have been treated, but this is the entrance to Tortworth Farm Estate shop, and there's a cafe in there, and that'll be the second and final control on the Audax that I'm riding on Saturday. Gosh, look, all those plane controls up there crossing. There's loads heading that way, presumably up towards the London airports. It's turning out quite nice, but along here you drop down and then there's a very steep dip down through a river valley. It's called the Little Avon, and then back up, so I'll be taking it cautiously then turning right, heading up alongside the M5, and then eventually, hopefully after rush hours died down a little bit, long stretch on the A38, which is never busy at the worst of times, to be honest. And also there's a segregated cycle part of the road, not a pavement or anything like that, just a bit of the road which is dedicated to cyclists, so I always consider that safe and not unpleasant either. Then weaving my way up through Gloucester, heading on the A38 north of Gloucester towards Tewkesbury. Just south of Tewkesbury, after I pass Coombe Hill, I'll be turning right eastwards, and then the second half of the ride will be through the Cotswolds up to Stratford on Avon. But you can see it's going to be a lovely day. Hear all the roaring traffic. That's the M5, literally just about a mile or so over there. So we're running up parallel to it. I've just dropped down into the lovely Little Avon wooded valley. Delightful down here. And I did take it cautiously coming down that hill. There were one or two patches of ice, but you could see them. There's always the fear of black ice. So I'm going to be turning right here. This is Michael Wood. People may have heard of it through Michael Wood services on the M5. So that's literally just the other side of these woods over there, about a mile or so. You wouldn't think there's a major bit of concrete heading up to Carlisle here, would you? This is just so delightful here. So again, I'll be paralleling the M5 until we get on the A38 in a few miles. It's now 10 past 10, and I've just come in off those minor roads of those hills over there through Stinscombe, Cam. I'm now on the A38. So this is basically the old main road heading north. Just to the left of us would be the M5. So the majority of the fast traffic is over there. And also this is the type of cycle lane I like, just a strip of tarmac dedicated to cycling. So for the next 10-15 miles we're going to be on the A38 with a short stretch where we just weave around Gloucester, but even that's fairly good cycle infrastructure, so easy to follow. I'm now riding around the outskirts of Gloucester. In fact, I'm just cycling over the canal, Gloucester and Sharp's Canal. You can see by the shadow in front of me, the sun's right behind. Bit of Gloucester docks over there. But although this is a very busy road, as you may see, there's this fantastic pavement cycle path which would take me right up to the A40 junction. That's the Oxford to South Wales sort of motorway in all but name. And there's even a cycle path that will get me around that junction. So I'm making good progress. I stopped at Tesco back there to pick up some tin of chilli con carne and 4 bread rolls. So tonight one of my favourite youth hostel meals is going to be chilli con carne with rice. Mop it up with some bread rolls. I don't normally need a pudding after that, and then hopefully a couple of bottles of beer, but that would be much closer to Stratford. And then tomorrow morning before I leave, I'm probably just going to pay for a youth hostel breakfast. There's something about getting up early and wandering down to the common room, the breakfast room, and just having, you know, full English, all you can eat. That's pretty much for 9 or 10 quid. That'll keep me going all day almost till I get home. You do have to be quite careful on this as you cross over roads on the left hand side. It's easy to sort of just assume, oh, nothing's coming, nothing's going down there. You know, there's always the 1 in 100 chance that something will. So my rule of thumb is I just stop. I'm now on the not very busy A38. In fact, I'm just a couple of miles south of Tewkesbury, so I'll be turning off right soon, eastwards, heading over that way into the haze. But I'm looking back at the Severn, so I've been paralleling it up, crossed over it as I went through Gloucester. You can see there's this thin slither in the far distance, and then closer to us is where it's just broken its banks and flooded, and then same over there, it's flooded on the left hand, the western bank as well. I saw lots of that as I came up to Gloucester, crossed over it, and the fields were just flooded. You go over it on almost like a stilted bridge, and you just look down on it all. It's now 12:30. I've got that section on the A38 heading up towards Tewkesbury, where I've just turned right and I'm coming into the village of Treddington. I've just stopped this bus shelter for my lunch and just to recharge devices, and then I'll even be turning off this road going down there to Gothrington. Sounds so much about Batman, doesn't it? Gothrington City. Mid-road update then. I'm on some nice quiet roads. I've just turned off the northern section, leaving the M5, and I'm heading eastwards. You may see, above the hedgerows, I'd be looking over at the Forest of Dean, and then in front of me I've got the Cotswolds. Gorgeous afternoon, as you can well see. The plan for tomorrow then, just so I don't mirror the ride back too much, it's make it interesting for me, not repetitive. I'm going to ride westwards from the hostel in the morning after I've paid to have a sit down breakfast there. Then I'm going to ride pretty much straight line to Worcester, get a train from Worcester Shrub Hill back to Yate, my starting point today, and then I'll ride the 14 miles, whatever it is, from Yate back to my house. That's the plan. So tomorrow will be in 2 stages, well 3 if you count breakfast. Early afternoon, I'm now passing through the lovely, delightful, sleepy village of Wormington, and a bit of a milestone actually. I've just picked up my first sign for Stratford upon Avon, my destination. According to my Garmin, I'm still 22 miles away, and you know, this isn't a main road, is it? It's a minor country lane, so I'm quite surprised to see that so soon. I'm just enjoying this so much, really is. I probably have ridden these roads before, but I can't remember them in any detail, so it's got that feeling of sort of being quite new, really. It's about 3:20 now. I'm about 12 miles out from the youth hostel, estimating about just over an hour or so. I can't get in till 5 o'clock, so there's no point in sort of getting there too early. Plus, I've got a bit of a mid-afternoon dip in energy, so I just popped in this shop for a little bit of energy here. No, not those. That's for tonight. One of these energy drinks and some chocolate. I'm on the final approach, the last 7 or so miles into Stratford upon Avon, and I came down a no-through road and I thought, oh please don't send me across fields, not on a day like this, as I'm about to lose daylight. And it looks like I'm joining this old railway path, so plenty of cyclists and walkers along here, so it clearly leads somewhere, signposted as well, so this is quite a nice find. This final approach towards Stratford is absolutely wonderful, especially this time of day. I can hear a lot of traffic over there, so presumably I'm avoiding a main road, and the sun's just setting there. As I came up on the train this morning, it's just arriving, so it's one of those days where you just feel you've maximised the daylight. Quite looking forward to getting there now, actually. It's 4:20 now, and I'm on the final run into Stratford upon Avon. That's what I love about GPS. I'd have never found this by myself without this technology. Look at this cafe there in an old railway carriage. Don't know anything about this railway. This is definitely Paul and Rebecca Whitewick territory. They're 2 of my favourite amateur historians. If you don't know who they are, just go to YouTube and use their search engine. They do great videos actually. Quite looking forward to getting there now, although I've still got 20 past. I've still got 40 minutes, so I can't get in till 5 o'clock. I've got all my beer, my food, so I don't have to divert into Stratford itself, so I'm just basically following the track. That's what I love about GPS, you know, it just does all the cognitive heavy lifting for you. You don't have to think about it, you just follow a straight line. If the line goes right, you go right, you know, whatever. That could be a right hand turning, or it could just be a bend in the road. You just don't have to think about it too hard. It's just like an invisible hand that's guiding you. But this is absolutely fantastic. You can never predict anything like this, it just happens. This is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, onwards yonder, Stratford on Avon, then the youth hostel. I'm definitely homing in on the youth hostel now. 1.2 miles to go, I think. When I came off the railway, I could have carried on, to be honest. It didn't stop by any means, but the GPS line, the course, sent me through this car park. Then I rode across a mini roundabout in rush hour traffic, and then it just sent me down through this housing estate. Once again, I wouldn't have gone down there because it looked like it didn't lead anywhere, but you know, the GPS line was sending me there and then round and left. Now I'm on the riverbank. Well, I think it was safe to guess that this is the Avon. You look at a lovely bridge in front of me. So again, I'm just following the track, you know, that's it. Probably see going along there. If it goes right, I go right. When it goes left, I go left. Just basically follow the technology. Wow, look at this. It's just gone 5:20 and I've arrived at the youth hostel. That's it right behind me. The entrance is down there. It's a fantastic day, really thoroughly enjoyed it actually. I had a little bit of a circadian dip mid-afternoon, about 3 o'clock. I just, you know, I'm used to that when I used to do shift work as a postman, and then all the long distance riding I've done over the years. I just do what our ancestors used to do, stop and rest. You know, if it's a multi-day ride, I will literally have a sleep. I'll have a 30-minute power nap, all like today, a bit of instant gratification. I just stopped down 15 minutes, had an energy drink and some chocolate, and then so often happens you go from the lows to the highs instantly, because that's when the railway episode happened. Then as I came into Stratford, I came out to a car park and then crossed over a mini roundabout, then down all these housing estates. You know, I said earlier on, I would never find that by myself. I just wouldn't go down there thinking I'd end up down some cul-de-sac. But the GPS track, you know, the line you follow just wiggles you all around, and it brought me out in this park. I came right next to the river, Avon I guess, and just as the sun was going down, there's all this wildlife, swans and ducks, and they were taking off and flying. You could hear the noise and you can always feel the flapping of the wings. Wonderful. And I was doing a bit of filming there, and this chap came along. We started talking, and it turns out he's staying at youth hostel tonight. He's called Malcolm. He's a life member. He's only staying the one night like me. He's from Exeter, so you know, I'm sure I'll be meeting up with him later on. That's what drew me into youth hosteling when I was late teens, early 20s. It's just the fact you meet people. You're not hermetically sealed in a tent or in a hotel room. You know, you're almost forced to talk, especially if you travel by yourself. And you know, I can see why they've stopped it, but I used to actually like the ethos of, you know, doing a little chore the next morning, because you'd meet people there, have a bit of a laugh and a giggle, you know, learn things. Anyway, I'm looking forward to going in now. Oh yeah, as I came through Stratford, I saw a sign, you know, one of the brown touristy signs saying William Shakespeare's birthplace, and it reminded me of that Ken Robinson line. I mean, he's passed away now sadly, but a huge hero of mine, huge inspiration. And he said something along the lines of, how did it go? You don't imagine William Shakespeare as a young boy, do you? I mean, he would have been in some English teacher's class, so like, how annoying would that have been? Like, something along the lines of, put that pencil down and stop talking like that, you're confusing people. So I had a little chuckle about that. Anyway, gonna go in, check in, have a shower, get changed, cook myself some beer, cook myself some food, and then have my 2 bottles of beer. Ciao. Good morning from Stratford on Avon Youth Hostel. It's just gone 8 o'clock. I've just sat down and had a full cooked breakfast, a couple of coffees. I'm going to start getting packed shortly and making tracks. Heading about 29-30 miles westwards this morning to Worcester Shrub Hill Station, as I mentioned yesterday. Get the train down to Yate and then do the second part of the ride, Yate back to Bath. This is a nice building. As I said yesterday, I've stayed here quite a few times over the years. I did mention there was a big global event that had just occurred last time. So it was November of 2016. And it was the morning that they announced the results that Donald Trump was a new US president. And when I got here, there was an American group. I guess it's like the equivalent of A-level students. That was what I thought anyway. And there was a couple of tutors. And, you know, I was like listening to their conversation, because obviously you're hearing an American perspective. And so that really sticks in my memories, actually. You know, they often sort of say, you know, people remember where they were when Kennedy died. Well, I was far too young, I was alive then. But I certainly remember vividly where I was, exactly what I was doing, and exactly how I heard about 9/11. And the same recently with Queen Elizabeth passing away. I just remember it so well, and it's linked to the place I was at the time. And I've been back past that place recently, and those memories come flooding by. So that's what I was on about, geotagging memories. When I got here last night, the dormitory was ever so warm, which is really nice on a cold sort of January evening. After I cooked my meal and came up, had my beers and went back to my room, it was a little bit too hot, and even at 10 o'clock the radiators were still on full blast, so I just turned them off at the thermostatic valves, just wedged the window open. It looks like it's going to be a nice clear morning. There's a little bit of mist out there, but it didn't actually feel that cold this morning. As I'm packing up, I thought I'd show you the rooms. So there's 3 bunk beds, so capacity for 6 people in there. It's quite spacious actually for 6 people. There's always a little bit of shortage of hanging spaces, so that's quite nice to have the coat hangers there. Oh look, all's well that ends well. Where did that come from? These days they have lights under each bunk and a recharging plug as well, so that's what I'm doing, just topping my phone up actually at the moment. You can sort of see when you arrive, the beds are all sort of pretty much ready to sleep in, pillows and your quilt there. When you leave, this is what I always do anyway, standard, what I've been doing all my life really, hosteling. Just strip the covers off the quilt, the pillow and the bunk, and then just leave it down there. Sometimes there'll be a basket downstairs, you know, where they want you to leave it. I'll ask when I go down to get my bike, but 9 times out of 10 they just sort of say leave it on the floor. That's the radiator. That was really pumping out some heat last night. I had to turn it off about 10 o'clock and just wedge the window open with some gloves. It's box sash windows, so it wouldn't stay up. It's now 5:10 in the evening and I'm back at Bitton railway station. The ride from Stratford Youth Hostel to Worcester Shrub Hill was quite uneventful. I think the only thing I'd say is that when I left Stratford it's quite clear and had that crisp feel to it, and I went over a range of hills and not that steep, but it sort of formed a weather front, and as I dropped down towards Worcester it became much more cloudy and overcast, and then as I got towards Shrub Hill station it became drizzly, and it's been like that nearly all afternoon. I've just got the train from Shrub Hill to Yate about an hour ago. I've been riding in sort of like quite overcast, drizzly sort of mist. This is round about the time I was approaching the youth hostel last night. So it's a fantastic youth hostel experience. I've done 3 so far this winter. I did Brecon Beacons and Swanage before Christmas, and then this one, that'll probably be it for this season. I've almost completed my Red January. I've got another several days to do, but I got to say I've really felt the benefit, as I do every year actually. So anyway, if you got this far, thanks very much for watching. Possibly see you at the weekend for the Bristol 100km All That's.